The sky was purple. 2 moons hung above the hills like cold eyes watching everything below. The wind moved slowly across the dead grass. No birds. No voices. No life. The girl was pushed into the hut without a word. She stumbled, almost falling. The wooden door slammed shut behind her. A loud click followed, the sound of the lock. She turned quickly and ran to the door, banging it with her small fists. "Please, don't leave me here," she cried out. But no one answered. No footsteps. No echo. Only silence. Her name was Sira. She was young, only 15 seasons old in her people's way of counting. Her skin was pale silver, and her eyes glowed a soft green in the dark. She was not like the others, and that was the reason she was left behind. They said she was cursed. They believed she brought danger. But Sira had never hurt anyone. All she ever did was try to help. But one day, something strange happened. A bright light came from her hands. A boy had fallen from a tree and broken his leg. She touched him and the light flowed. The boy stood again, fully healed. The elders were afraid. They saw it as unnatural. "Magic like this should not exist," one of them had said. "She is not one of us anymore." So they locked her in the old hut, deep in the forest where no one goes, a place forgotten by time, a place where wild things roam. Inside the hut it was cold and dark. The walls were made of old wood, full of holes. Wind passed through like whispers. There was no bed, no food, only an old, torn blanket in one corner. Sira sat down, hugging her knees. Her stomach made a soft noise. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. Her lips were dry. Her arms had scratches from the forest path. Her voice trembled. "Why did they leave me?" Hours passed. Maybe days. Time was slow inside the dark hut. She dreamed strange dreams. Of fire. Of stars falling from the sky. Of voices calling her name in languages she didn't understand. Sometimes she woke up screaming. Sometimes she didn't wake up at all. She started hearing things. Footsteps outside, heavy ones. Breathing near the walls. Scratches on the wooden planks. But when she looked through the holes, there was nothing. Her mind was playing tricks. Or maybe not. One night, something changed. A low hum began to rise in the air. Not from her but from outside. It was like a machine, smooth and steady. A white light appeared through the holes in the wall. Not fire. Not moonlight. Something else. She crawled to the door and peeked. There, in the forest, a tall figure stood. Metal armor covered his body. A helmet with glowing blue eyes. He held a strange box in one hand. The box beeped softly. She gasped too loud. The figure turned. Sira fell back in fear, crawling into the corner. Her heart raced. Her hands glowed slightly, just a soft pulse, like a heartbeat. She tried to stop it, hide it, but it wouldn't go away. The door creaked. It was opening. No one had opened it since she was locked in. She didn't move. Her body froze. Her mind screamed, "Don't let him see you. Don't let him touch you." The figure stepped inside. He looked around slowly. His helmet made soft clicking noises. He saw her, small, thin, broken, just a girl. He removed his helmet. He was human. His face was rough but kind. He had short brown hair and a scar across his cheek. Sira whispered, "Please, don't hurt me." The man looked surprised. He knelt down slowly, showing his hands were empty. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said in a gentle voice. "I didn't know someone was here." She stared at him. "Who are you?" He smiled. "Name's Jace. Captain Jace Renner. From Earth." Sira blinked. "Earth?" He nodded. "We were scanning the area. Picked up a life signal. Thought maybe it was a trap. But it's just you, isn't it?" She nodded, slowly. "They left me here." Jace looked at her, not with fear or hate, but with something else. Pity. Maybe even care. He opened a small pouch and took out a silver pack. He handed it to her. "Eat. It's not much, but it'll help." Sira took the food with shaking hands. It was dry, but soft. She ate like she hadn't in days because she hadn't. Jace watched quietly. Then he said something that changed everything. I can't leave you here. Sira looked up. He stood and offered his hand. You're coming with me. Her lips parted in shock. She had been left to die. But now, someone had come. Not to judge her. Not to hurt her. But to save her. And outside, deep in the woods, something else had seen the light too. Something big. Something hungry. The hut was no longer silent. For the first time in days, there was breath, warm, real breath, filling the air with life. Sira sat near the door, her hands still trembling, crumbs of food on her lips. Her eyes followed every movement of the man in metal. He had taken off his helmet, and now his face was clear. He was human, not like her people, not like the beasts in the forest, and definitely not like the monsters in her dreams. His name was Jace, and he looked tired, not the kind of tired from walking or working, but from seeing too much and saving too little. He sat on the floor across from her, resting his back against the wooden wall. Outside, the wind was rising again. Trees swayed. Shadows danced. For a moment, there was peace. Then Sira asked, "Why did you come here?" Jace didn't answer right away. He looked around the broken hut. "I don't know," he said finally. "The signal led us here. We thought it was an old tech scrap. Maybe some weapon from the old wars." He glanced at her, eyes steady. "But it was you." She lowered her head. "I'm sorry." He blinked. "Why?" "They think I'm dangerous." "Are you?" Sira didn't speak. The fire from her hands, the light that healed, but also burned when she lost control. She didn't even understand it herself. Felt like a curse. A secret she was never supposed to have. Jace stood and opened a small device on his wrist. A blue screen appeared in the air, glowing gently. "They marked this area as abandoned," he said, reading something only he could understand. "No life signs, no tribes, no threats, just ruins." He looked back at her. "They lied." Sira's voice cracked. "They didn't want anyone to find me." Outside, something growled. Both of them froze. Jace immediately closed the screen. He moved to the door, crouching low. His hand reached for a long black weapon strapped to his back. It made no sound as he pulled it free. Sira whispered, "What is it?" "I don't know yet," he said, "but it's close." He peeked through a crack in the door. The forest was moving, not like wind. Something heavy. Walking. Hunting. Jace stepped away from the door. "We need to move." Sira hesitated. Her legs were weak. Her body ached. "I can't," she said. "I haven't walked far in days." Jace didn't argue. He crouched beside her and without asking, lifted her into his arms. "You can rest later. Right now we run." The forest was alive. Not in a beautiful way, but like a sleeping animal had been poked. Trees whispered warnings. Leaves curled away from their steps. Sira held tight to Jace, her head resting on his shoulder. Her breathing was slow, but her heart pounded. Behind them, something followed. The steps were slow, heavy, wet, not tribal, not human, something worse. Jace moved quickly through the undergrowth. His boots were silent. His grip was strong. But even he knew whatever it was behind them, it was faster. They reached a slope, a broken path. Old stones led down into a pit covered in vines and green fog. Sira spoke. "There's an old shelter ahead, from before the tribes." "How do you know?" "I saw it in a dream." Jace looked at her with a strange expression. Not confusion, not disbelief, something close to fear. But he nodded. "That dream better be real." The shelter was real. A dark stone structure hidden beneath the roots of a fallen tree. It had no doors, only a narrow tunnel that curved down into the earth. Just tall enough for Jace to walk while carrying her. Inside it was cold, but safe. For now. Jace set her down gently. He scanned the walls with his wrist device. "Old tech," he said. "Pre-tribal. Maybe even pre-human." Sira closed her eyes. "This is where the voices came from." Jace raised an eyebrow. "What voices?" She opened her hand. A faint light shone there. Not strong, not sharp, but warm like a memory. "I hear them when I'm scared." When I'm alone. Jace took a step back. His voice was calm but careful. What are you? Syrah looked up at him. I don't know. Outside the shelter, the thing hunting them stopped at the slope. It sniffed the ground, sniffed the air. Then it opened its mouth wide, far too wide for any creature, and let out a scream that shook the trees. But inside the shelter, the girl and the stranger sat in silence. Jace looked at her again, and for the first time he didn't see a prisoner, or a child. He saw a question the universe hadn't answered yet. And something in him whispered, she is not the danger. She is the key. The forest was breathing. Not like lungs, not like wind. It breathed in silence. Long, slow, waiting, watching. Somewhere between the trees, something moved. Not an animal, not a machine, but something that remembered hunger. Inside the ancient shelter, the girl and the human listened to that breath. Syrah sat against the cold wall. Her silver skin was pale. Her eyes were wide, glowing faint green in the dark. Jace stood near the tunnel entrance, holding his weapon tight, listening. Crunch, snap, breathe. The sound of something stepping on old bones. Something big. He whispered, it's still out there. Syrah nodded. It doesn't leave. It waits. Jace looked back at her. What is it? I don't know, but I heard it in dreams. He didn't like that answer. Outside, the creature circled. It made no noise now. No growl. No scream. Just silence. Too quiet. Jace checked his wrist screen. No signal. The metal walls around them were blocking everything. No comms, no GPS, no backup. They were alone. We can't stay here, he said. But it's safe here, Syrah whispered. He shook his head. Not for long. This shelter's too old. There's no food, no light, and it's watching. Syrah looked down. I can't run. Yes, Jace said, stepping closer. You can. I'll help you. She touched her chest. Her heartbeat was fast. Her hands glowed faintly. What if I lose control again? Then you lose it with me, Jace said. Not alone. Something inside her clicked. A tiny lock she didn't know was still there. She stood. The tunnel opened back into the forest. But the air was heavier now. Even the moonlight looked nervous. The trees stood still, frozen like statues. Jace moved ahead, scanning. His armor made small sounds, but he was fast. Silent. Syrah followed, her feet light, eyes sharp. She remembered these woods from before the tribe threw her away. The paths had changed. Trees had grown. But some memories still lived. A shadow shifted to their right. Jace stopped. He raised a hand signal, wait. Syrah ducked low. They listened. Nothing. Then, a massive black shape dropped from the trees behind them. It landed hard. The ground shook. Dirt jumped. Leaves screamed. The creature stood tall, half flesh, half machine. Its mouth stretched sideways. Too many teeth. Its arms were metal, sharp like broken glass. Its eyes burned red. Jace turned. Run! Syrah didn't argue. They ran through the trees. Fast. Wild. Syrah's breath burned in her lungs. Jace fired behind him. Blue blasts lit up the woods. The creature screamed, but kept chasing. It wasn't just hunting. It was assigned. They reached an old bridge. Wooden, cracked, hanging over a deep canyon. No choice, Jace shouted. They ran across. The bridge creaked, cried. A rope snapped. Halfway across, the creature leapt. It landed on the bridge with a roar. The wood shattered beneath it. The bridge split. Jace grabbed Syrah as the bridge broke. They fell. Fast, screaming, arms flying. But the canyon wasn't as deep as it looked. They hit a slope of wet stone and slid, rolling, bouncing, until they crashed into the thick mud at the bottom. Silence again. Jace groaned. Still alive. Syrah coughed. I think so. He helped her up. That thing. Syrah looked up the cliff. Nothing followed. Maybe it fell. Maybe it was gone. Maybe not. They walked deeper into the canyon. Water dripped from the rocks. Strange plants grew here. Glowing leaves, soft light, air warm with energy. Syrah paused. Her hands began to glow. Brighter. Jace! she whispered. Something's down here. He turned. What do you mean? She stepped toward the wall. Her light pulsed, matching the beat of something hidden. Then part of the stone cracked open. A door, ancient, covered in alien writing. It opened slowly. Inside was a room, a chamber, not tribal, not natural. Technology hummed inside. Lights flickered. Symbols moved. Sira stepped in. The room recognized her. The lights turned blue. The walls spoke in a language Jace had never heard. He raised his weapon. Sira, what is this? I don't know, she whispered. But it knows me. Back up in the forest, the broken bridge still swung. The red-eyed creature crawled out of the mud. Broken. Furious. It didn't bleed. It didn't speak. But it remembered. The walls were not made by hands. They were smooth like glass, but alive. Pulsing gently under the surface, as if something inside them was still breathing. Sira stood in the center of the hidden room. Light from the walls moved around her like soft waves. The air smelled clean, like rain on stone. Her silver skin reflected the blue glow. Jace didn't move. He had seen many things in his life. Alien ruins, strange weapons, forgotten cities. But this was different. This place was not dead. It was waiting. And now, it had opened its eyes. A low hum filled the chamber. The lights above shifted color, from blue to gold, then to green. The symbols on the walls moved, forming patterns. Sira reached out, and as her fingers touched one of the glowing shapes, the room reacted. The symbols spun fast, forming a circle of light in front of her. A voice echoed through the chamber. Not in words, but in memories. Sira saw visions. Not dreams. Memories that weren't hers. She saw people, tall, glowing beings, standing in the same room long ago. They spoke with light, moved through air like water, and carried stars in their hands. She saw Earth before humans. She saw her own planet before her people became tribes. She saw war, and then silence. Sira stepped back, gasping. Jace rushed to her. What happened? I saw them, she said. They were like me, but not like me. Who? The ones who built this. They had light too, like mine, but stronger. Jace looked at the walls. Ancients. No, Sira whispered. Family. Behind them something clicked. A panel opened on the far side of the room. Inside it was a metal sphere, floating in midair. Small lights blinked on its surface. Jace aimed his weapon. That doesn't look friendly. But Sira walked toward it. No, she said softly. It's not a weapon. She placed her hand near the sphere. It floated toward her, gently, like a pet recognizing its owner. Then it spoke. A soft, broken voice. Hello, Lightborn. Sira's eyes widened. What did it call me? Jace lowered his weapon. Lightborn, he repeated. Is that what you are? Sira turned to him, eyes glowing brighter than ever before. I think it's what I was meant to be. Above the canyon, the creature was climbing. Its claws dug into the stone, scraping deep lines in the rock. The red lights in its eyes blinked rapidly. Could smell her again. That strange, sweet energy. The kind of power it was built to destroy. Back in the chamber, the floating orb showed a new image, a map. Jace stepped forward. That's Earth, and that's... He paused. That's this planet. But the map is old. Thousands of years. Sira pointed to a symbol glowing on the map, same as the one glowing on her hand. What is this place? She asked the orb. The voice replied, a beacon, a memory, a warning. Jace frowned. A warning. The light must not fall into the wrong hands. If it does, the stars will burn. Sira turned to Jace, her voice shaking. They didn't fear me because I was cursed. They feared me because I was chosen. Suddenly, boom, the walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Jace grabbed Sira and pulled her behind a stone pillar. The orb floated quickly into the wall and vanished. Another boom, louder. Jace pulled out his weapon. It found us. Sira stood slowly. We can't run anymore. Jace looked at her. We don't have a choice. But Sira's hands began to glow. Not soft this time. Bright, hot, blinding. Her voice was calm. This place showed me who I am. Now I have to decide what I'm going to be. The creature smashed through the ceiling. Stone cracked. Light burst. Its red eyes locked onto Sira. She didn't flinch. She raised her hand. The glow exploded. Outside, the canyon lit up with a beam of pure white light. Brighter than lightning, louder than thunder. And then, silence. When the dust cleared, Jace opened his eyes. The creature was gone. Burned into the stone. Sira stood in the middle of the ruins, not hurt, not scared, changed. Jace walked up slowly. You okay? She nodded. Yes, but this was just the first one. He frowned. First what? Sira looked up at the stars. They're coming. The sky was blue, but not the soft purple she had known all her life. This blue was loud, endless, bright like a scream. Sira sat by the window of the ship, staring out. Her reflection looked back at her. Pale silver skin, glowing eyes, and a face that no longer looked afraid, just tired. Earth was below them now, closer every second. She had never seen it before. Not in dreams. Not in stories. Only as a name whispered by people who feared the stars. Now she was falling into it. Not as a visitor, but as someone who had been claimed. Captain Jace stood near the control deck, arms crossed, watching her. She had barely spoken since the canyon. Since she destroyed the creature. Since the forest itself had chosen her. Jace knew that kind of silence. He'd seen it in soldiers. In survivors. He walked over and sat beside her. It's beautiful, isn't it? Sira nodded, but didn't smile. It's not mine. It doesn't have to be, he said. You're not here to belong. You're here to breathe. She looked at him. Will they let me? Jace paused. Some will. She turned back to the window. And the others? He didn't answer. The ship landed on a floating platform high above a silver sea. Metal towers rose like fingers into the clouds. Drones buzzed quietly in the sky. People walked in uniforms. Calm, professional, curious. Some stared at her. Some whispered. None smiled. Jace led her through the corridors of the human base. Bright lights, cold air, the smell of machines and old paper. Everything felt too clean, too perfect, too distant. Sira walked slowly, her steps unsure. Her glowing eyes met others. Some wide with wonder, others narrow with fear. Is that her? That's the girl from the jungle planet. The Lightborn. Sira lowered her head. They didn't see a person. They saw a question. Inside a meeting room, important people sat at a long table. Uniforms, medals, sharp eyes. Generals, scientists, politicians. Sira stood in the center, small and silent. Jace stood beside her like a wall. One of the officials spoke. She's dangerous. Jace answered. She saved my life. Twice. She burned a classified creature into ash. She protected herself. She accessed tech that predates human records. Jace didn't speak. The man leaned forward. You're telling me that thing in the forest was trying to eliminate her? Why? Sira answered, her voice calm. Because it was built to destroy the light. And I am the light. Silence fell across the room. After the meeting, Jace walked her through the base. You handled that well, he said. Sira shrugged. I only told the truth. Doesn't always work with humans, he replied. She smiled faintly. That was the first time she'd smiled since they left the forest. Later, in a quiet room, Sira sat alone. She looked at her hand. The glow was fading again. Not gone, just sleeping. She whispered to it. Why me? No answer. Only a knock on the door. Jace entered, carrying a small tray of food. It's not forest berries, he said. But it'll keep you alive. She took it with a nod. Thank you. He sat beside her. Tomorrow they want to run tests. See what your energy is. What it can do. She looked at him. And if they don't like the answers? He didn't respond. But his silence said enough. That night Sira dreamed. She saw stars falling like rain, machines rising from black oceans, voices calling her name in 100 languages. And then, she saw a child. Not herself. Someone else. Glowing. Crying. Alone in a dark room. The dream ended with a word echoing in her mind. Awaken. She woke up sweating. Her hands were glowing again. But this time the light wasn't calm. It was burning. Jace rushed into the room. What's happening? Syrah looked up, her eyes wide with fear. I can't stop it. The walls began to shake. Screens cracked. Lights burst. Sirens started to scream. Outside, soldiers ran. Alarms rang. Jace grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me. You're not losing control. You're just not in control yet. Syrah closed her eyes. Breathed. The glow faded. The base went dark. Then silent. Outside the room, a voice whispered through the comms. She's unstable. She's a threat. She's not human. Another voice replied. No. She's more. She stood between two mirrors. In one, she saw herself as a child, small, weak, left behind in the dark. In the other, she saw herself glowing like a sun. Powerful, feared, alone in a bright room. Both mirrors were cracking. Slowly, quietly, and behind her someone whispered, You can't be both. She turned, but no one was there. Only silence. Only choice. Syrah opened her eyes. The dream faded like smoke, but the weight in her chest stayed. Heavy. Hot. She was lying on a bed in a human medical room. Lights above her blinked softly. Machines near her pulsed with soft sounds. Jace sat beside her, arms crossed, eyes tired. You passed out, he said. Syrah sat up slowly. I saw something. Another dream? She nodded. More like a warning. Jace stood and looked out the window. Then it came just in time. The human base was in lockdown. Outside, soldiers prepared weapons. Ships hovered over the horizon. Screens across the base showed the same words again and again. Unidentified alien signal detected. Prepare for possible hostile contact. Jace turned to her. Your people. They're coming. Syrah stared at the screen. They were never mine. Doesn't matter, he said. They still want you back. And they're willing to start a war to take you. Later, in a control room, generals and scientists argued around a table. She triggered an ancient system. She disabled one of our own ships with her energy pulse. She's a risk. She's an opportunity. Syrah stood in the corner, listening. No one noticed her at first. She was the topic, not the voice. Then she spoke. I won't fight for you. Everyone stopped. I won't fight for them either, she said. Jace stood beside her. Then what will you do? She looked up. Her voice was soft, but clear. I will choose. In orbit above the planet, 3 alien ships appeared like shadows rising from deep water. They sent a message down. Return the girl, or we will take her. No face, no name, just the cold truth. They hadn't come to talk. They came to claim. Back on Earth, the Human Council made their choice. She is ours now. She belongs to no one. She's on our land. She's not from this planet. Arguments. Orders. Protocols. Syrah walked out of the room before they could finish. She didn't need to hear the rest. Night fell. From the tower rooftop, Syrah looked up at the stars. 3 tiny dots hovered above ships of her old world. Jace joined her. You still have a way out. We can protect you. Syrah didn't reply. Instead, she asked, Why did you really come to that forest? Jace thought for a moment. I wasn't supposed to. My orders were to scan and leave. But something felt wrong. He paused. I think I was supposed to find you. She turned to him. What if I wasn't supposed to be found? He smiled slightly. Then the universe made a mistake. And I'm okay with that. Suddenly, the alarm rang. A ship had broken through orbit. Not hers. Not theirs. A third signal. Unknown. Ancient. Powerful. It sent a single message. The Lightborn must decide. War or peace. Now. The lights across the base flickered. Everyone stopped. Even the stars seemed to hold their breath. Syrah's hands began to glow again, not with fear, with clarity. She looked at Jace, and then at the stars, and whispered, "I choose neither." She raised her hand toward the sky, and the three ships paused, as if time itself waited for her voice. Far above the earth, the sky was full of watchers. 3 alien warships circled in silence. Human satellites blinked in confusion, and the stars, for once, did not speak. Everything waited for her. Syrah stood alone in the middle of a landing field. Her hair moved gently with the wind. Her eyes glowed like quiet fire. Around her, soldiers watched from a distance, hands near weapons but not raised. She was not a prisoner anymore. She was something harder to name. Inside the human base, Jace stood before a wall of screens. Commanders argued behind him. "She's stalling. She's signaling the enemy. She's giving us a chance." No one could agree on what she was. Jace said nothing. He just watched. Syrah looked up. The sky was torn in 3. One piece for the tribe that left her. One piece for the humans who claimed her. And one piece for whatever now listened from beyond. She whispered, "I was left in the dark, but the dark never left me." A voice spoke inside her mind. "Choose." It wasn't a demand. It wasn't a threat. It was a truth. A weight. Syrah raised her hand. The ground beneath her feet lit up with ancient markings, the same as those in the jungle ruins. Light flowed in all directions. Machines hidden under the earth responded. A massive pulse of energy rose into the sky. A tower of light. The warships paused. Weapons ready. Syrah closed her eyes. And then she spoke. But not with words. With memory. With emotion. She sent a signal into the sky, not to destroy but to show. Inside the alien ships, her tribe saw visions. Of a child left alone. Of humans feeding her. Of kindness without reason. Of light that chose healing over war. Inside the human base, the generals saw a tribe too scared to accept power. A girl who burned away fear. A message that maybe, just maybe, they weren't the smartest ones in the galaxy. Syrah's voice echoed in every language. "You left me. They feared me. But I am not your curse. I am not your weapon. I am what you all forgot. A choice." Above, the ships began to power down. Slowly, one by one, the red lights faded. No missiles launched. No bombs dropped. No blood spilled. Only stillness. Then retreat. The warships turned. And left. Not defeated. But answered. The light faded from the ground. Syrah knelt. Not in pain but in peace. She had not fought. She had spoken. And the galaxy had listened. Jace ran to her. She looked up at him. "You still think I'm not human?" she asked. He smiled. "I think you're something more." Weeks later, they built a monument on that field. It didn't say soldier. It didn't say alien. It simply said, "To the one who was left, and chose to return with light." Syrah never went back to the jungle planet. But sometimes, she stood beneath Earth's blue sky, watching the stars and wondering, not who she was, but who else might be out there waiting to be found.